everybody. If it's Wednesday, it's Warhammer, and that must mean it's time for another episode of Warhammer Weekly. Joining me this week for the first time, we're very excited to have him on the show. Joining us from the UK, hence the earlier time, Ben from More Warhammer. What's up, Ben? How you doing?
I'm very good, Vince. How are you?
Hey, I'm great, man. It's good to have you on the show. Obviously, our mutual friend Chuck brought us together. There's a natural
Yeah.
alignment here for us to talk about some Gloomspite Gitz. So that's just what we're all excited to do today. I see Haywo just joined in, brought some people along. I was watching a little bit of Haywo's Magic Cycle tier list earlier. That was fun in between meetings. But today we're going to talk about them Gitz. Gitz.
Would,
Uh,
would you like this is something that I always say that I think Gloomspite, or if someone's getting into Warhammer AOS, I'm always going to point them towards these guys. They're just, in fact, my wife actually plays them. That's how I was like, you might like
okay.
this army, and then I told her a couple of the rules, and she was like, I like this army. So I always think they're
Okay.
such a gateway.
Wow, I don't know if I would recommend them as a gateway. That's an interesting. Let me think about that. We'll get to it when we get to the discussion. Absolutely. Let's
Yep.
start, of course, with some news stuff. But of course, everybody, don't forget to hit like and hit subscribe and do all those fun things. The super chat's there, so hit that up if you want to support the show. All right. So just some quick news items. We've got a little rumor engine. It's some kind of 40K thing. I don't really care. It's a little zippy zappy thing. Great. Next. Next. Next news item. This ugly thing is returning. Somehow, this ugly piece of trash has returned. So this is the Mirror Worm. It's coming back to the old world for the High Elf forces. There are some people with soft spots in their heart for ugly Forge World models. I am not one of them. Nostalgia does not blind me. I don't know who created this. I'm sorry. This is very bad. It's very ugly. It has Forge World skin. It's a bad model. And this makes your game seem unserious when you release things like this. So there you go. That's what I have to say. Chuck says I love him. Of course you do, Chuck, because it's a high elf related thing. And you're blinded. You're blinded by your love, okay? The high elves can do no wrong. But this thing is hideous. It is truly hideous. Uh,
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you on that one as well. It's not the nicest looking model, is it?
No, and it's especially it stands out especially strongly against the high elf line, which does have some admittedly very, I think, timeless kits in it. Like I'm not going to say the same about a lot of the rest of the high elf old world kits, where some of them, especially like a lot of the White Lion stuff, I think holds up really, really well. I think those models look good to this day. Even though some of those kits are still very statically posed, that's fine. They're meant to be ranked and stuff like that. But I think that the sculpting at the time was really top notch for like the White Lions, the White Lion chariots, the a lot of the phoenixes and that related stuff, even just the basic high elf troops. So all that is gorgeous, and then this thing fell off the out of the top of the ugly tree, getting hit by every ugly stick on the way down. Like just hideous. So
Yeah.
yeah, but hey, it's back. Um, yeah, exactly. I like these
Yay.
Forge World things should be thrown into the ash bin of history and mocked and ridiculed as having ever existed at all. That's what I'll say. That's my belief there. Uh,
Well, yeah.
and that's basically the news, other than Gloomspite Git stuff, which we're going to talk about obviously in the main segment. So, uh,
Hmm.
very short news today, because there just wasn't a lot happening. All right, let's go over to some pick of the week. We'll move quick because what the audience wants is for us to get to that hot goblin action. And I just realized my microphone is very far away. I'm sorry, everybody. That was the one thing I didn't fix beforehand. You should all hear me much better now. Sorry, everyone. Um, all right, Ben, what would you like to share with everybody? Where would you like to start? What do you want to point everybody toward?
Um, I think I think first of all, I've been very fortunate to have hands-on in this kit. I got it sent out early for preview, and I think this is the most excited I've been to do a box in a while because I think Gloomspite Gitz are, in my opinion, some of the most silly but nicely designed models in AOS. And I think AOS the sculpting, I mean, of the last couple of years has just been top notch. This is a continuation of that. I mean, the main leader, oh, what's his name? Um, so bad at remembering all the names of these
Oh,
things.
I know. Yeah, yeah. Don't feel bad about it. It's perfectly fine.
Where is he? Yeah, Drogs, the Sun Chomper.
Yes.
Beautiful mod. I've got him literally sitting right here. A really, really enjoyable model to paint up. I
We were
took my
talking
time.
about it beforehand. I'm pretty excited
Yeah,
to paint that myself.
actually, funny story. I actually painted him up during Storm Eowyn. So we had a storm warning, which is the first time that's in my existence in Northern Ireland. 35 years of it, never had a storm warning, and all the lights went out, and I persevered. I had the headlamp on, I had candles, and at about 6 o'clock when it was pitch black, I was like, all right, I admit defeat, and I took it down to my parents' house and continued to paint him.
Amazing.
Lots of
That's
fun. Lots.
dedication.
Yeah, that's we'll call it that. We'll call it dedication. Yeah, yeah. No, but honestly, the kit itself, my last kit that I did was Death Core of Grieg, which admittedly 40. I kind of go. I flip flop. Seems to be a yearly thing of 40k AOS, 40k, and at the moment I am hard into AOS, and
Nice.
this box is seemingly much better value. I mean, the Krieg, I think everyone was in agreement that the Krieg box was not great value and didn't really fit what most people wanted for Krieg. This is a fun box. You get a decent amount of points. The models look great. Rules, again, I'm not a hardcore gamer, so the rules are not something I'm overly bent out of shape about. If
Sure.
I have fun on the board, that's my number one concern. Can I have fun with these guys? Uh, and I say me, my wife. Can my wife, kick my
Sure.
butt in, which is happening more than I would like to admit, to be honest.
Nice.
But
Nice.
yeah, I think the kit itself is nice. It's another, what is it, fifth way of playing Gitz, I believe. We've got the Trogs, we've got spiders, we've got Snarlfang. Um,
Yeah,
you've got the
effectively, yes, you got kind of five things going on now in this book, which is what makes it complicated when we get into the reviews. So
that's
this is
true.
clearly where their focus is now turned. So, and we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Uh yeah, for myself, my pick of the week, I want to direct everybody. Let's say you're a Mealworm fan and you're angry about what I said. Well, don't worry. You can turn to our good buddy Strength Hammer, Chuck, both of our mutual friend, who
Yep.
had a very excited video talking about the return of the Mealworm. I'll link Chuck's channel down below. So if you're sitting here going, Vince, curse you, that was one of my favorite models. This ugly, awful abomination, this crime against humanity and all things good taste. This is one of my favorite things ever. Well, Chuck has got the video for you. Strength Hammer, check it out. As always, he does lots of fun content, especially if you are excited about high elves in the old world. He's been talking about them a lot, so I'll link Strength Hammer down below. All right. Well, we talked a little bit about your hobby. Let's do some hobby time. I mean, we kind of already touched on it, but is that goblin what's been on your desk recently? Are you painting your way through the rest of the box? What have you been painting?
I've literally, as of yesterday, finished that entire box now. So I
Oh
do
wow,
a box to board challenge. Now, this is kind of how I started my channel, or where I found my channel naturally going with these box to board. And initially it was like, how long does it take me to get this box done? But I didn't, I'd never want to do a 24-hour challenge where I stay up and
sure.
that's not healthy. It's not good. I've done a 24-hour painting challenge before. Yeah, my job as a health and fitness coach, I feel like that might go against
Yeah, yeah,
everything I
sure.
do. I
It
was like,
definitely does.
yeah, it's not, and it's not an enjoy. I feel like it becomes just a chore. So the way I've now phrased or turned it is, I'm just starting the timer when I sit down. I stop it when I get up, and that's how I'm doing it. But this kit, I took my time. I painted these to, for me, a much higher standard, and I really did just try to enjoy the box again, because a couple of videos back I did it was the Lord of the Rings, the War of the Rohirrim, and Vince, that broke me. That broke me, that box. Oh, I mean, I never want to look at that box again. I never want to, and I love Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings is probably the thing I could talk to ad nauseum. I
Sure.
have a test. I have a a bit of a test where if I talk about the blue wizards, I know I've gone too far. That's my
Gotcha.
kind of litmus test. I'm like, if I start talking about the blue wizards, yeah, I've probably lost them. But yeah, I just wanted to enjoy this again, and this box, I enjoyed it a lot. I had a lot of fun painting up the wolves. Again, this guy here, I really enjoyed working with. And there's something nice about green. I actually used a couple of your videos as well to inspire me, and that's what I like to do when I'm
Nice.
building. I like to watch other people's videos, and yours was one I think
Sure.
I commented on it, and I think green's a really enjoyable color to work with
It
because you
is.
just get levels to it and volumes to it, and you can go in so many different directions. You could punch it up to quite a like a warp stone green, or you can keep it quite muted and then have those flesh tones in it. Yeah, I love this hobby. It's so much
Yeah.
fun.
Well, the human eye
Yeah.
can distinguish more tones and shades of green than most any other color. So, like the nature of the construction of our eyeballs, our evolution is such that we have a very fine capability of distinguishing different green tones. So,
Did not know that.
hence why goblins and orcs are perhaps so compelling to us because they can exist in such a wide spectrum of colors. Uh, my own hobby time has been split between a couple different things.
Mhm.
Keen-eyed viewers will notice this like little strange pack of terrain sitting behind me on the desk back here. There's more kind of off camera. As I've been, let's call it reclaiming terrain for a future video. As my old display boards were all destroyed and things like that, and now I've harvested that terrain. So sometime we'll make a you'll see a video come out of that. But my actual painting has been on this very fun little boy. This was the old metal master molder, the one that had a big long flippy whip, and he has a little dog. You can kind of see his little rat dog underneath him there. And somebody was nice enough to send this guy to me. And so I wanted to use him for my master molder. I did some just very small conversions, gave him a different weapon arm and a different head because I didn't like the long whip was like, that's a no. In metal, that thing is like wrapping around like this like 7 times. No, that's not happening. It was
Not
just
very-
a mess. Like,
Yeah.
I cannot imagine that thing ever looking good. Nice try. You did not have the technology at the time to cast that thing in pewter. That's not working. So we gave him a nice sword.
I had a
Um,
Gilgalad, the metal Gilgalad. That was like one of my first models I got when I was a kid. You had his spear. That thing just has just a mound of super glue
yeah,
on his shoulder.
exactly.
You're like,
Exactly.
this isn't gonna work. This is not
But a
gonna
little
work at all.
swap for a nice little sword that he's chopping down with and a cool head. I gave him the eye patch head, one of my favorite Skaven heads. It has like his whole like left eye is like this big triangular Skaven symbol piece of
Perfect.
metal. Just dug into his head. Perfect. Master molder, good to go. He's got giant rats everywhere. What more do you need? So painting that guy up, and I'm actually going to be turning to that goblin boy that you painted next. Yeah, that dude. I'm just really excited to paint that guy. I just think he looks cool as I liked him since the first sort of spoiler image. I might
Yeah.
swap a couple things. I might swap his weapon. I'm not sure I like his weapon.
Yeah,
Um,
I was unsure about that. It's like I think it's like a Hessian rock.
yeah,
Um,
it's because they're from like they're all Hish goblins or Hish goblins or whatever. So they fight Lumineth all the time, and hence the Frazzle get the sun and stuff like that. So, um, and whatever. This isn't a lore channel, but uh, the lore of these guys is silly compared to the normal goblins, and I don't care. All goblin lore is silly, so all lore is silly.
yeah,
Um,
it's
but
yeah,
like,
it's all
yeah, I they put up the article that was all about like, hey, why do some of these guys like the sun and some of these guys like the moon? And I was like, that's the question I have actually. I'm interested in this article, so I read it, and it was not a good explanation. The explanation should have said, well, you see, the evil sun symbol is something we created like 30 years ago, and we want to keep using it.
yeah.
So we're just going to do that. And all this other bad moon stuff, we're just going to pretend like it doesn't exist for these guys. Instead, they like have to contort themselves into pretzels to talk about like, oh, the sun is the Frazzle gets the bully that chases the bad moon and yada 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 and all of this. And I'm like, okay, sure,
Cool. Yeah,
why not?
yeah.
Or
I thought it
maybe
was a
they
bit.
just think it looks cool. That's fine. They can just think a thing looks cool. I think it looks cool.
I agree. I think it looks awesome. I read somewhere saying like they should have played it where I think in the previous edition it was where the moon was, and they said they should have just kept it where wherever the moon isn't is where these guys get boosted.
Yeah,
So
sure.
that would have been fun. I think that would have been an easy mechanic to keep track of to a certain degree. But yeah, I mean, the models themselves, I think they're so cool looking. I think the thing I love about this guy is he's just a little pudgy king. Like it's
He
just
is. I like him because he's a little chunky. Yeah, yeah. I'm not gonna
yeah,
lie. That's yeah. That
I
was
love
actually
that.
the first thing I saw. They there's a couple of goblins actually in the new stuff that's got a little bit of heft to them.
Yeah, they're
The
eating well. They're eating well.
yeah, exactly. Um, so, uh, so hey, that's fine.
So he's up next. Yeah, that's who you're going to be.
He's
What are
up
you gonna?
next. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Are you gonna? What scheme are you gonna go with? The kind of the art on the
Whatever
thing? What
grabs me. Nah, definitely. I'm not
yeah,
even looking at that art. I mean, he'll be green. I'll give you that. I
yeah.
probably won't turn him orange. Beyond that, I can't. I got nothing. We'll see once it's in hand. That's going to be the answer.
That's always my
Um,
approach.
it's
I
been a
always
long
look to
time
think.
since I've done like a black fur tutorial, so maybe that'll get updated. I think it was like almost 400 videos ago that I did one of those. So there you go. Um,
Oh,
all right. Well, hey, shall we turn to the main segment and talk about some Gloomspite Gitz?
let's do it.
Okay. So let me timestamp this here. All right. So, Dave Rudin says, eating well, unlike anyone who bought that box hoping for more than 9 models. Yeah, it's true. To be fair, big-ish models, so that's fine. You don't
Yeah.
really, I suspect you don't actually need that many of them, so there you go. All right. Uh, and G. Well said the hilarious thing with him is it's the wolf that is really the smart one picking a new rider when the last one dies. Yeah, absolutely. Which
Yeah,
makes sense.
I like that. Yeah,
In
that was
our
part of the.
in it is a side story, but in my current weekly D&D game, the smartest member of the party is like my pet. There is 8 players at the table, and the smartest being at the table is my pet, effectively familiar of sorts. So, you look, sometimes the pet is smarter than the people. It just happens, it's what it is.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
anywho, all right. Hey, and as we transition into the Gloomspite Gitz review, if you haven't hit like yet or subscribe or done all those things, do all those things. Don't forget super chats there, all that. So yeah, appreciate it all. Appreciate all the support, everybody. Okay, let's do a little summary.
hmm
Here's my summary. The Bad Moon is radically changed. Like, settle in. If you haven't heard this yet, boy,
yeah.
get ready. Boy, howdy. This is very different. Yeah, we have an 8-person party. Latin. Yeah, it's a thing. It's all good friends, and I'm not kicking anybody out of the table. So we have 8 players, and that's just what it is.
It was mine actually. My D&D is 8
Yeah,
people.
that's fine. Yeah, it's
It's
like
chaotic. It's chaotic, but it's
it
fun.
is.
It's
Yeah,
fun.
I prefer a smaller group. I'm not gonna lie, but I love
Yeah.
all of my friends, and I've played with them for 20 years. And a new friend, we had a 7-person game for a long time. One of my longtime friends just moved to the city. Played D&D with them remotely for years as like a one-offs and stuff. And I was like, well, you got to join the table. I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to say no to a friend of 15 years. What am I, a jerk? No, you bring them into the table and you have a good
You
time.
bring, you bring them into the banter, definitely.
That's right. Okay. So, it's basically the Nurgle wheel now. So there you go. It is not a scheduling nightmare, Cygnus. It is very easy. I'm pause because I don't have an RPG podcast yet, but it is not a scheduling nightmare. It is very easy to schedule a D&D game. I have had a D&D game for 25 years on the same day at the same time with the same people. And you ready? This is how it is. If you want to be in this game, this is the time you will be here, barring a health emergency amongst you or your family. If you are not here, you will not be coming the next week. It's that simple. These are the rules. I got lots of people who can play. This game is very good. You want to play? Be here. Make it a priority. Done. If
Yeah.
that's too much for you, you leave now. Otherwise, I expect you here and ready with bells on time. We will be playing between this time and this time.
How long do you
Period.
play? How long do you play?
About 4.5 hours usually. It's like 7 to 11:30ish usually, something like that. So
Only something I got into in the last 2 years. And a week, we're probably gonna digress, but yeah, 2 years. It's the most fun. It's so much fun. I love D&D.
been
Yeah,
been in
well,
it since '89, so it's a long time thing for me. Absolutely. Okay,
beautiful.
got to get back on topic.
Yep.
This is why I need an RPG podcast. Okay, at any rate, uh, a lot of potential focus on your army. Potential focus of your army and your turn will be controlling it, the moon, and keeping the bonuses you want, if we think they're worth it. Okay. So the like there's so much moon manipulation. It's a lot of moon manip.
Yeah. I'm gonna use that. Definitely gonna use that in the games.
Yes. Dadbot says Tom's glow up and new accent. Yes, absolutely. This is if Ben was Tom really had a hell of a weekend. Like just absolute amazing, the best weekend of his entire life. Yeah, for sure. There are people marveling, Ben, that you're an attractive man. That's what's happening. So you're.
It's a filter. It's a filter. It's all the lights.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
It's a moon manipulation. That's what it is.
Send that same
Exactly.
one to me. Absolutely, it's all just moon manipulation. I'll get that same filter next week. I'll look exactly like Ben. All right. So, yeah, it's a lot of moon manipulation, as we'll see. The subfaction's designs really didn't change. I think they align pretty poorly with the general design the moon is pushing for. Like when you read the way the moon works, as we'll see, it feels like what they want you to do is have a pretty balanced force and kind of use your pieces at the right time and get the right bonuses and stuff like that as the moon kind of circles around. But that is not what the subfactions want. The subfactions are like, nah, play all one thing still. Do that.
Yep.
So a little bit of a problem there.
Yeah. That's actually that sums it up perfectly. I was trying to work out because I was reading the rules and I was like, what are they? Because it feels like a lot of these are redundant if you're playing a certain way, and I think you've hit the nail on the head there. It's like they're trying to make you play with all of the different models within the range, but then
Right.
the actions are like, no, don't.
No,
Play
don't
with just
stop that. Yeah.
no. Don't do what we just said a second ago. Do what we're doing right now. You're like, okay, but yeah, it was. Should we chat about the faction rules then?
Yeah, we'll jump straight. Well, first off, I want to do a little change log. We'll get there.
Mhm.
I will say other summary items here. I've never seen a more essential manifestation in a lore. Of all this, they figured out a way to make the faction lore attractive by printing, I think, the most essential faction manifestation I've ever seen in my life in the lore. So I imagine people will actually choose it, which is fine.
Mhm.
And finally, sadly, I think the new units are fairly underwhelming. Like that is to say, I don't know what they actually do, other than die.
Yeah,
But the new
that.
boss guy's cool. I like him. He's good.
Yeah, he is. There's another one which we'll probably get to later on, which I've got a. I like. It sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun to play with. I'm sure we'll get onto that later on. I'll let you know when we get to it. But
Absolutely.
one that looks fun. That looks fun.
Okay, so high level, 40,000 foot view, as it were. Is there anything I missed that you felt reading the book and looking at the rules for this?
Not really. I think you're spot on with the new models being somewhat underwhelming. I Yeah, that's what I picked up. I thought that there were some changes that, I mean, like there's always the minor changes. I do, what was the copy and pasta like that at the moment? Like it's
Oh
not that
yeah,
much different. But at the same time, you know, I'm going to use my wife as an example. She's just gotten used to the rules.
sure.
And when we did this book together, she was like, okay, there's some bits that I get. There's some obviously minor tweaks like the faction rules. But I think no matter what way you go, either you change them up radically and people get angry because they've just learned, how to play this game. And I think the way uh, AOS 4 I think it was a great way to get into the game. I thought it was an easier step into the game than I've seen in a while, and it was an easy way for my wife to play games with me as well. But I think when the books come out, there is that problem where are they exactly the same or do they change
Yeah,
enough? Do
yeah.
they? Well, it's tricky, but no, I'd say you're spot on that the faction rules a little bit convoluted with the moon manipulation and the git mob just a little bit of a wet blanket, but they
Yeah.
look cool, and that to
They look
me,
cool. They're like
they
super cool
they
looking.
look
I
awesome.
agree. Up and
Yeah.
down. There is a couple exceptions. We'll talk about them. Like it's not
Mm.
the new boss guy is cool. There's one other one that actually stands out to me. I wonder if I have the same one you do. Okay, we'll see.
We'll
I bet
see.
it's true. Okay.
I think so.
Let's do a little change log here. So let's just talk about changes as usual. I could have went through and tried to figure out all the changes for an army I don't play, which I didn't do. That would be a lot of work, and I'm too lazy for that. So instead, I stole this from AOS Coach. Coach's channel will be linked down below. Go subscribe to AOS Coach, who's doing all the hard work. He puts out his show like the day that the NDA drops. Makes it nice for me. Thanks, Coach. As usual, he's like the hidden third member of this podcast by doing this. So
Beautiful.
so thank you. Just some. I'll quickly run through these and then we'll get into the actual rules. Scragrot does have some changes.
Hmm.
So he importantly because the moon changed, his ability changed as well because he can what he does with the moon is different but similar. His
Yeah.
little wand used to do a guaranteed redeploy. Now it just makes it no CP on the redeploy, which is fine.
Hmm.
The Snufflers have a basically a slightly different rule because of the cackling. Like they now adjust to the cackling. They care about a phase of the moon.
Yep.
The Loon boss on Giant Cave Squig lost his pull in the unit to fight. He lost the +1 to hit. He changed keywords around. Lots of things changed, little small keywords around. What's up, Doug? 2+ tough in the chat. What's going on, buddy? Hope you're doing well. Good to see you. Absolute hero, that guy.
Big
Um,
fan. Big.
oh, absolutely. Who? If you've ever met, first of all, anybody who's ever watched Doug, Doug is that in real life. That's him. He's just the most genuine, nice, wonderful person. Like he's a saint among men. He's a titan. Believe the hype is what I'm saying. Okay.
That's that's really nice to hear. Because
It's
in my head I'm like, this guy just seems like a cool dude. So the fact you're saying that's made my night.
He is as
Love.
cool as you imagine. Yes, is exactly that. Bounders had a small change. They went to just like a 4-up inflict mortal wounds instead of the D3. So basically, it'll amount to probably about the same thing. The Dankhold Trog boss used to require him to be in combat and the buffing Trogoth unit within combat range of this hero. It was triggered on a 3+, which is easier, but the trigger was harder. So, okay, a little lateral move.
Hmm.
Second group of changes here. Sam, Peer, I'm not going to try Sam. Thank you, Sam, for the super chat saying thanks for the hundreds of hours of content. Absolutely. Much appreciated, Sam. We'll keep churning it out, buddy. Content for your whole life. Trug gained the War Master keyword, so that's cool. I mean, it's the War Master keyword's almost a downside in the current edition, but I guess it's fine that he has it. It makes sense, so I'm not angry about it.
Yeah.
The Dankhold Trogoth's ability is very similar. It just doesn't require you to start in combat, which was cool. Like the Web Spinner Shaman had his control score fixed. The Skitter Strand Arachnarok lost a wound, lost a health. He was 14, now he's 13. That's fine. The Arachnarok with War Party and the Flinger, the little crooked spears switch their profile around. Okay, cool. 5/4, 4/5 doesn't matter. They don't do anything, so it's not really super relevant. The Snarlfang Riders getting a little bit of a glow up there with their jaws hitting on a 3-up, was a 4-up, which makes me angry because my pigs hit on a 5-up, but these wolves
Yeah.
3-up. Great combatants, apparently.
Yeah.
So
Skilled warriors, of course. Everyone knows
very
that.
skilled warriors, the wolves. That's right. Yes,
Yeah.
they train
Yeah.
long and hard.
Yeah. Those boars are just not putting the work in apparently.
That's right.
No.
Oh yes, Trug also got an additional rend. Yeah, thank you. Very good. Very good double. And And the malevolent moon is really, really important now. We'll talk about that later on. It's so important. And then the Bad Moon Loon Shrine lost its effigy at a Bad Moon. Okay, so there you go. Quick change log for those right up top. There you go. Now let's talk details. We ready to do some rules? Get into the actual rules itself?
Let's go. Let's go.
Okay. Very good. All right, let me timestamp our rules move here. Okay. All right. So first, let's talk about the Bad Moon. I mean, this is the big change. Thomas said the pigs know what they did. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I guess. Okay, so it's the Nurgle wheel now. I mean, that's the simplest way I can explain it. But each face of the moon, Grinnin, Scowlin, Sulkin, and Cacklin, all align. Two of the phases touch each quadrant, as you can see from the picture. Like, the picture is really important. So, for example, Grinnin and Scowlin, those first two as you read per the clock face, so noon and 3 p.m., both touch Trogs. So they're both going to buff Trogs, right? Whereas Scowlin and Sulkin both touch Squigs. So they'll both buff Squig sides. And the Sulkin and Cacklin both touch Gitmob, and then Cacklin and Grinnin are non-Squig, Moon Clan, and Spiderfang. So 4 phases, okay? Each one having 2 phases that affect one of the 4 groupings as they've put them here. It's 5 groupings in 4 phases because they just shoved Spiderfang into the non-Squig Moon Clan. Just get them in there.
We ran out of space.
Right, yeah, exactly. Right. Okay, so the way this works is at the once per battle round, basically at the start of the battle round, you have to use this ability. If it's the first turn, you pick the starting face of the moon. So you get to decide where you start. And at the start of every battle round, it's going to move 1 step. So let's say you just start on Grinnin, the top of 1. Great. So you're buffing effectively the non-Squig, Moon Clan, and Spiderfang, and then Troggoths. In round 2, you'll go to Scowlin. In round 3, you'll go to Sulkin. In round 4, you'll go to Cacklin. In round 5, it'll go back to Grinnin. Assuming you don't manipulate the moon at all, which you'll probably manipulate the moon. Yeah. But at any rate, that's how it works. Okay. And it's the whole board. It's not like there's no presence of the thing on the board anymore. It doesn't float around. It's just this is what's happening. Okay. So what does this actually do? All right. Well, Frothing Zealots. Let's talk about the abilities. We already saw a couple of these in the article. We talked about them. Well, the Bad Moon is Cacklin or Grinnin. So your 2 non-Squig, Moon Clan, and Spiderfang phases. You get 5 to the control scores of friendly non-Squig Moon Clan units, and your Spiderfang units score critical hits on unmodified hit rolls of 5 up, which also affects companion weapons. Very, very important for them because that's where all the crit mortal lives with the spiders, is on the companion weapons. So that's cool. If it's Grinnin or Scowlin, then for your Trogs, you subtract 1 from the Rend characteristic of combat attacks that target friendly Trog units. So a little bit weaker than the old +1 to save. Because obviously if they get attacked by a bunch of stuff with 0 Rend, it has no effect, right?
Yeah.
They'll just die to the mass sort of weight of dice, as it were. If it's Scowlin or Sulkin, that's where we affect our Squig units, where effectively with instead of rolling the dice for the move characteristic, you can just set it to 4. Okay, that's fine.
Cool.
Yeah, takes the randomness out of it. And then if it is Sulkin or Cacklin, your Gitmob units can use charge and shoot abilities even if they retreated, not ran, but retreated. So it makes them into little hit and run things. So that's what it does. That's the again, what this said to me, Ben, was the moon kind of wants you to like play with a selection of different units, probably like 3 at least of the types, and you kind of are getting bonuses at the right time and moving things around and like making sure you're using your right pieces in the turn where the thing happens here. That's how it seemed like they had it in their head, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yep.
Um, I like that you can pick where it starts. That's good. I don't think all of these bonuses are equal or even super valuable. I do think the Snarlfang gets the best one. So that's nice. The
Yeah.
new Get Mob guys get the best one.
Yeah, they're getting a little bit of love there. Um, which do you think is the least effective?
The the frothing zealots, I just don't
Yeah.
buy control score bonuses. I understand there are some weird corner cases like Snufflers or the Gobapalooza suddenly having like a 10 control score or something.
Yeah.
That's not nothing, but those things die so easy. I don't buy the value of it. A lot of your units are very big.
That's
They tend to
yeah.
have a
You
high
know,
control score already, so
a mob of 20 gets on a thing, having an extra 5, is that going to be the thing that, you know, yeah, that was the one I was like, okay, cool.
right,
Like,
right.
I'm not going to shun it away, but also, yeah, that's nothing to really write home about.
The squig one is interesting because it could have been like a reroll or extra dice. You know, historically they were really, really, really blindingly fast. Just setting it to 4 removes the randomness, but it's, you know, I don't think that's terrible. It lets you be predictable, though I'm not sure it like matters a huge amount. I'll say that. So, that's fine. Like overall, it does make me wonder, like if people, as we go to the next page when we talk about sub factions, um, if people are just going to seek to do the like to if people are still going to mostly play one thing, like are you mostly going to play trogs or mostly squigs or mostly get mob, you know, or something like that, and then you basically just focus on moon manipulation to like keep the moon where you want it the whole time. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know how people are going to play it. That seems a risky maneuver, I suppose, but we'll see. Okay. Anything else we want to say on the new moon? I want to do this informal poll in the chat, folks. What do you think of the new moon? Do you like the new moon design? Give me a 1 through 10. 1, I hate it. 10, I think it's absolutely the best moon design we've ever gotten. Tell me how you feel. I want to get a little flash test of the audience here as to how you all feel about the moon. Type in. Tell me what's going on. Overall, I think I'm like a 6, maybe a 5. Pretty middle
Yeah,
on it.
I'm. I mean, it's more. My games are very casual, and I think the more times you have to go from the board to the book, from the board to the book, generally doesn't make for as an enjoyable and as immersive an experience as I would like. I like when I'm playing the game to feel like there's a battle going on, and I feel like that the amount of them and then how some of them affect it just makes it a bit more convoluted than I would like.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I'd say I'm kind of meh, it's fine.
Same.
Five,
Yeah.
5, 6. Well, I'm sure there's people who can manipulate it, and I'm looking forward to seeing how people can really dial in how they use each phase. But for me, as a kind of casual player, I, it's fine,
Yeah.
absolutely fine. Not bad, not good, but just fine. Yeah.
Yeah. With you. With you. See a lot of like 4s, 5s, 6s, like a lot of middle ground here. There's a few 7, 8s higher and a few 3s as well. Nobody has answered it's the worst ever, and nobody's answered it's the best ever. Lots of very very meh middle take, but some people saying it is better than the old moon. So okay,
Mhm.
all right. Let's talk sub factions, battle formations. Um, the interesting part here is that we kind of lost a thing, and now we have the Get Mob pack instead. That's really the interesting one to talk about. Your spreading lunacy is still basically the same, where you can pick your non-squig Moonplan or Spiderfang units and then do the pilot and do some mortal wounds. Same with Squigalanche with the extra attack, and same with Trogherd where you heal on the fight. Those are all basically the same. The new Get Mob one, Get and Run. In your movement phase, you get to pick a friendly Get Mob unit that is in combat to use this ability. Then you can pick an enemy unit in combat with that Get Mob unit to be the target. The same enemy unit cannot be picked to be the target of this ability more than once per phase. If you picked a target, roll a d3. On a 2-up, inflict an amount of mortal damage on the target equal to the roll. Then the unit using this ability can move a distance up to its move characteristic. It can move through the combat ranges of enemy units, but it cannot end that move in combat. Core, move, retreat. So, effectively something that you're going to be doing quite a lot here with your force. Hence the retreat and shoot or charge thing, right? As what you want to be, as like, clearly the Git Mob are meant to be this skirmish force. You're really wanting to hold the moon in those phases that give you the retreat and shoot or charge. And you're just kind of like, in your movement phase, you're using this instead of standard retreats, right? Because it doesn't do damage to you, so it effectively lets you retreat without taking damage. And then you also get a little free potential damage hit, potentially. A third of the time, this will just fail. And you'll get stuck there in combat.
Exactly where you don't want to be with these models, because they are paper thin.
They are paper thin. Yeah, exactly. We already talked about it, but it's worth repeating here. I really don't like that these feel like they're forcing you to play all of one thing. I just feel like this is a bad alignment between the what we talked about before, right? We have the moon saying do some kind of mix, and then we have these battle formations saying nope, pick all of one, right? Or mostly one, at least, lean way in. So I don't know, that's weird. It's weird.
1 foot in, 1 foot out is very much the kind of feeling. It's like, yeah, do this, but do this. It's strange. It's pulling you in very different directions.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
I wish that I wish we would get battle formations that were more about enabling playstyles or abilities, but I've gone on that rant before on this channel, so that's fine. Such is life. We're not going to get it. I've let it go. Okay. So, next up, little change to the spell lore, as this is where we get our first moon manipulation. Spore Maws and the Hand of Gork are still basically the same, but our unlimited spell is completely new. So you pick a friendly Gloomspite wizard to cast a spell, cast on a 6, roll a die. On a 1 to 2, nothing happens. On a 3 to 5, the face of the bad moon moves to the next face. On a 6, pick a new face of the bad moon for this battle round. So ideally, what you're doing is, let's say you're playing all your new Git Mob guys. You're really into the new Git Mob dudes. You want to have your retreat and charge all the time, right? So let's say in turn 1, let's go back to the moon and we'll do this as a live example. Okay, so I'm going to be a clever player, let's say. Okay. Turn 1, I'm going to set it to Scowlin, because I don't think I'm going to be in combat or need to retreat this turn. So I get no bonuses from that. It's just going to happen, right? Yep. Let's say I'm just going around shooting, whatever. Turn 2, it flips into Sulkin. Okay, I've got my retreat and charge. Turn 3, it's in Cacklin. I've still got my retreat and shooter charge. Turn 4, it goes to Grinnin. And then what I'm going to try to do is cast this spell twice to push it to Scowlin and then to Sulkin. So that way I have it in turn 4 and turn 5 again. And that's basically an example of how that would work.
Yeah. That seems like a lot of work to keep the benefit of what the model should be doing. Like, that seems like a lot of work to me, and that could fail miserably, and then you're kind of stuck.
Yeah,
it's a lot to bank on.
Yeah,
I think we'll that lucky 6,
sure.
Which again is happens, but yeah, it's I mean, it's I would say that it's very Git-like, in the sense that it feels like they don't have really any control over what's going on. They're just kind of winging it, and in that sense, it kind of leans into the lore a little bit. But as a player, I feel like that'd be quite annoying after a while. Cool. So I'm just stuck here. Brilliant.
G-Well, thank you very much for the super chat. Might be jumping ahead a bit, but quick guess, you think Trogs will be as domineering in Gloomspite internal meta going forward? No, because I think -1 to rend is much less valuable than +1 to save. Bottom line. But we'll see. Okay. My issue with this is an unlimited spell, and several people have already called it out in the chat. Hey, Woe, and everybody else. One of my least favorite things, spells in AOS are like really hard to cast. They're generally hard to cast, even a spell on a 6. does not have it, like, it has a high percentage failure chance. Then you got to get through an unbind, right? And then after you've actually rolled the dice and gotten through the like 35% failure chance for a 6-up spell. So you had a 1 in 3 chance to fail there. And then somebody unbinds you potentially. That's varying depending on your roll, but some percentage chance to fail. Then you have another 1 in 3 chance that the spell simply does nothing. Right?
Many hurdles for the wolves.
And this is your unlimited spell. Folks, this is bad. It's just not good. It's a bad play pattern. I do not like it. I do not like spells that you can get through all of the already existing hoops, which I'm at my table. There is a saying, okay? Every time we play Warhammer, comes up, very simple. Use it at your own tables. You ready? Magic is dumb. Magic is dumb. I have never felt magic be less magical than in current AOS. It does nothing of value other than summon other things sometimes.
Yeah. That's been my experience of it so far as well.
Yes.
It's just you cannot rely on it at all. It's just one of those things. If it happens, hey, cool. Oh, it's gone. Oh, okay, cool. That was nice while it lasted.
Yep.
I'll try it again. Oh, it's gone. I didn't do it. Okay, cool. That was a big old waste of time.
Exactly. In the build up to 4th, did GW say factions would get more than one spell lore to pick from? No. They mentioned that a couple of the factions that are real magic heavy might get an extra lore. So like Tzeentch or somebody like that, somebody who built their entire identity for their faction around magic, but no. Anyways, it's a bad spell. There you go. But it does let you manipulate the moon. Cool. There's a better spell you can cast though. We'll talk about that later. Okay, so let's get into some individual like new scrolls and rule changes and stuff like that. Let's talk about Skragrott, the Loon King. Okay, so Scraggy, still a wizard 2, still got a 4-up ward, and a 6-up save. He still got his little Damoon on a stick with no shooting profile. Boo. Still has that. He lost his shooting profile before, but I'm still sad about it. I haven't gotten over it. Okay. So, once a game, he still gets to do some moon manip. His moon manip is the Loon King's Entreaty, where if he uses it, the face of the bad moon stays in its current position this battle round instead of moving to the next face in the sequence. So let's go back to our previous example. We started over there, then we're playing all our Git mob, but maybe we got Skragrott chilling in the mix as well. He's a War Master. He can be in charge of anybody. It's fine.
Yeah.
And so then he basically is going to like, the moon goes 1, it's over here useless. 2, now I can retreat and charge when I would want to. 3, I still have my retreat and charge. Top of 4, he's like, the moon's ready to move, and he's like, no. Stay there. Right? Yeah. So he holds it there so you don't need to cast the spell. Big Friendly Gaming says, this is so destruction coded, it hits on a 4-up. Yes, the whole book hits on a 4-up. That's right. Yeah. So yeah, that's fine. And then, yes, he now lets you redeploy for free, as we mentioned earlier. So, if you're wholly within 12 of them. Which is actually a pretty good ability.
Yeah, it's pretty solid.
That's something that I think a lot of units, especially like Git mob stuff, would want to be doing, would be redeploying. It's a very mobile-focused army, so free command points are good.
Yeah. Yeah, you're definitely going to want to have as much movement as possible with this army, especially if you are leaning into the Git mob, because as we've said a few times, they are squishy and so yeah, if you have that ability, I don't know, like as you said, like I would love to see a board full of wolves.
Yeah,
having Skragrott there, it'd be cool if he had a mount. It'd be cool if you had that option of having him on a mount or something, just to get him around and to keep him up. Because I mean, 5-inch move? You're gonna have to be you're gonna have to get him fairly close to things you don't want him to be super close to, just to keep that benefit. Otherwise, he's gonna be at the back of the board, kind of just chilling.
I think basically turn 1 and 2, he's using this ability, and then beyond that, he's like just casting from the back. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we're going to get into a new unit here. Let's talk about Drogs. Dasun Champa, the guy you shared earlier. This guy rules. Awesome model, as we said. And I like this guy. I think this dude's pretty decent. Yes, there he is. You built him without the helmet, I see. Yeah, good choice. Good choice.
Yeah, I wanted his little bald head and his eye patch. Again, more skin. I think more skin the better. Actually, to make it pop from everything else.
100%. So much better without the helmet on. So that's the version I want to go for as well. But I just love his little jowls. As everybody can hear, the dogs are coming. So Aspen, quiet. Nothing. Hello, dear. Say hi to Ben.
What was that?
Say hi to Ben.
Hi, Ben.
Hello.
There you go.
What is it?
Okay.
The dog. My boy's downstairs.
Fine.
He usually is sitting right there.
That one's very angry about being left. She thinks she's gonna get left down here again, so
Sure.
she's not having any of
My dog is sick right now, so everybody send some likes for my dog being, well, don't like, but you know what I mean. Send some thoughts. My dog is sick. It sucks. She's been throwing up all over the place, which is not fun.
No. Stop. My dog's the noisy one. I'm sorry, Ben.
Oh, dogs are. I like dogs more than people.
Yeah, he says he likes dogs more than people, which is the correct answer.
Yes.
Objectively correct.
The more we
Absolutely.
know about people, the more we like dogs.
That's right.
All right.
Very good. All right. Thank you, dear.
Yep. Come on, babe.
Yeah, hit like for dogs in general, not for dogs being sick. Dogs shouldn't be sick, but there you go. Hopefully she'll be better soon. So, anyways, back to Drogs. Speaking of dogs, he's got a dog. Big dog.
Big one.
So this dude's a 12-inch move, 7 health, 4 up save. He's got I accidentally cut off his keywords, and when I took a photo of him, let me flip over to him real quick.
Unique hero cavalry, destruction, gloomspite Gitz, and get mob.
There you go. Yeah, so he's officially your Git Mob boss, obviously. Pretty good fighter, like 3s, 4s, rend 1, damage 2 with crit mortal, not bad at all. And then his little dog is 4 attacks on 3s and 3s, rend 1, damage 2, so not bad. His abilities are all pretty good too. To Frazzle Fangs, while an enemy unit is within 6 inches of this unit, -1 to hit rolls, and the enemy cannot use all-out attack. That's pretty solid.
Yeah, makes him a little bit more durable, which is cool.
Absolutely.
I was looking, I was like, oh, he's got to have a ward or something, and I was like, oh, and then as soon as I read that, I was like, oh, well, he's got something that makes him less squishy. It's a solid one to have.
Yes,
6 inches as well is nice. Not like I thought it was going to be like in combat range.
Yeah.
That's
He's a big bubble. Yeah, I like that. Exactly. He doesn't have to be in combat to get it. He'll broadcast it well out of his own combat into another one, depending on where you put it. So he can really like shut off. He's a big bubble actually of like neg 1 to hit and shutting off all out attack. So yeah, he's what 80 mil, is that right?
I think so. Yeah, it's he's actually much bigger. The wolf itself is much bigger than I was expecting. I mean, there's a brute that I've got ready to reprime again, so you can kind of see the
exactly.
He's a big boy, very big boy.
So. Yeah, Robert says because he's got a 4 up to wound. I agree. I'd rather it'd be cooler if he was 3s and 3s, but like he has crit mortal anyways. You're fishing for 6s to get the two mortals, right? So I mean, I'll take 1/4 on it. A lot of units in the game now have a 4 somewhere in there. It's fine. Like again, he's the crit mortal is what's going to make the difference. So
yeah, he's a goblin at the end of the day. I think he was hitting on 3s and 3s. I think that's what they're trying to lean towards, where you can almost look at a model and be like, okay. And the way I always explain the hit and wounds, and I'm sure people said this so many times, whenever I'm playing with my friends, it's like, the hit is how skillful a warrior they are, the wound is how strong they are. And whilst he is a pudgy boy, he doesn't look like he's got the strongest arm. I mean, you compare him to a brute, if you compare him to, anything like that, he's not got the longest and strongest arm, which, I think that works. If you look at him and go, he's as strong as the wolf that he's riding, really?
Right.
Wolf is like 4 times the size. But yeah, it would have been nice to have 3s. But yeah, you're right. I think that crit mortals, you are looking for those, and they could be pretty strong. They could rip through a couple things.
Fires off a couple times, 4 mortal damage, not bad at all.
Yeah.
But yes, the bubble is really the powerful thing here. Now, next up, we have the classic destruction nonsense ability. It's a very powerful ability, but as usual, it's once per battle and on a roll of a dice. You gotta love it. You gotta love how they write destruction rules. So, once per battle to the reaction of an opponent declaring a fight ability, roll a die. On a 4-up, you can pick a friendly unit wholly within 9 inches of this unit that was targeted by that fight ability. Obviously, he could include himself. That unit can move 2d6 inches. It can move through the combat ranges of any enemy units, but it cannot end that move in combat. So effectively, it could waste somebody's fight, which is very strong, but it's a once per battle 50-50 shot that occurs.
Yeah. Swingy. Very, very swingy.
Yep. So, Dunk said, "What's the points for him?" Oh, we don't know. They didn't give me the points in advance this time, so I can't tell you. Hopefully not much.
I mean,
like, hopefully not too expensive.
Yeah.
It's a cool ability, but like, okay. At any rate, he also has the chain activation once per turn, where if he fights, he can pull a Get Mob unit in to fight with him. So, fine. Again, I like him. The bubble, I think, is super valuable on its own, as long as he's not too expensive. He's like he's a hot pickup for me. So, it's cool. And again, he'll be tough enough with that bubble around, because he'll make a lot of people hit on 5s and be unable to get out of that, which is pretty good. The Harrower says, "Ugh, can't we get abilities that just work?" No.
That's not how destruction works.
Yeah, this is destruction. What are you talking about? Yeah.
If it works, we celebrate. That's the way it works.
Oh, Goonhammer said he's 210. All right, 210's fine. I accept that. That's fine enough. All right, let's talk about the various. There's a lot of chariot permutations here. Okay.
Yeah.
So like you can build your chariot with a lot of different things going on. So the first one we're going to talk about is the Frazzle Gitz Shaman on Warwheela. Your Warwheelas can be many different types of chariots. So, this one, they all have some very similar-ish profiles. This dude's 12-inch move, 9 health, 4-up save. He has a Wizard 1, because it's the Shaman. That's how that works. And his attacks are literally nothing to care about. He does no damage, so that's fine. The sculpt is very funny, with the little skinny goblin up on top of the skull, hanging on. Like, that is pretty humorous.
Yeah.
And in addition to your Wizard 1, he has a couple different things. So first off, he's got a buff that says friendly Get Mob units that are not Frazzle Gitz Shamans on Warwheelas cannot be targeted by shooting attacks while they are wholly within 6 inches of this unit. That is a very tight bubble to be buffing your allies on, now, especially the wholly within. I really wish that had been 9 inches. That would have been so much more generous and easy, especially when you're trying to fit other chariots in there potentially. That's like, yeah, it's really small.
Yeah, it's like parking spaces in the UK. You're not yeah. There's a certain skill that's required.
So you're not wrong. You're not wrong. So I mean, like, I like that it can shut off shooting. It just can't be targeted by shooting attacks, which is cool. That's good. Like, it's a good ability, but man, is that a tight bubble. And it should be noted, this dude himself can still be shot. So there you go. Okay. But you're theoretically going to have neg 1 to hit because the other units are there. Yes, Cygnus. This model can still be targeted. I mean, it still benefit from Guarded Hero, theoretically, depending on what's next to them.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, if he's running along in between a bunch of Wolf Riders, which is probably what you're going to end up doing, like, you'd have, like, sort of, ostensibly, there's kind of 3 Wolf Riders on either side of him is sort of what's happening. You can't target the Wolf Riders, and if you target him, you're neg 1 to hit because of Guarded Hero, though you can target him. He also has a shooting phase thing that's like danger close when it targets. It has to be 3 bits of enemy units within 9 inches, and he does some mortal splash damage to him. So sometimes. Yeah.
Well, yeah. it's a cool looking model. It's it could do. I have to say that the thing we were saying earlier, destruction. You celebrate when they do the thing that they're supposed to do, which does make it fun, but sometimes that's the kind of rule for this entire.
Yeah.
These work sometimes. The things they're supposed to do sometimes work. It's a big swing, but again, it's more likely to not happen than it is likely to happen, which can be wildly frustrating sometimes. But yeah, I can't imagine they're going to be super competitive. But
No, I
for me,
agree. It's
for
cool
me-
model.
Oh,
Neat
yeah.
that you got a wizard, but like, ooh boy, not super useful. All right. Your other option, of course, though, with you when it comes to war wheelers and bosses, is the snarl boss on war wheeler. So this is your melee boss. I do like the little guy hanging off the back, by the by. That's very fun. This guy's 12-inch move, 9 health, 4 up save again. Just hero war machine, of course, because he's a chariot guy. And he has some okay attacks, I guess is what I would say. It's not like chariots in general don't make much sense in the current world with their attacks. Like he's not actually fighting much. He's got crit auto wound on his 5 attacks, which is fine, but he does still hit on a 4-up like everything else. So I don't know.
Fine. Again, just another middle of the road, just fine. Again, lovely looking model. Love the guy at the back. Love that it's another pudgy king. He looks like he's a little bit. He looks like he's a little bit. Well, he's well fed, which is again fun. The idea that the most well fed Gitz are the ones that raise to the top, which is fun.
Yes. Now he does have some abilities I actually like. So he has a fight pull-in ability for other Sunstealer wheelers, which is fine. He can pull other chariots into the fight. Like, okay, that's fine enough.
Yeah.
I wish it gave him some kind of bonus as well. Like they really need it. It'd be neat if he like gave them rend or something, as we'll talk about. He doesn't. Be a whole lot cooler if you did. But his once per battle ability is actually pretty good. Where for the rest of the turn. And this is any hero phase, by the way, which is what I like. Because he can use it in the enemy hero phase. And it's not going to be as useful for the second part, but it's still something. But so you subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made by enemy units while they are in combat with any friendly Sunstealer wheelers. So again, another source of neg 1 to hit that could potentially work around here. If you've got him and the boss, they're basically never fighting their way out of that neg 1. Because all out attack has been shut off. He's broadcasting neg 1, and this is piling on a neg 1. They're just at neg 1 to hit, for sure.
Yeah.
Which is good. And then it also, importantly, if you use it on your own turn, adds 6 inches to the move characteristic of this unit and friendly Sunstealer wheelers. Like, period.
Oh,
not ranged.
Yeah.
Which is great. Suddenly all your chariots move 18, which is a big deal for that turn. So I actually like that a lot.
Am I right in thinking that that's the guy at the back?
Yeah, he's popping the Nas. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah. Yes.
Tokyo Drift. Love it.
And then he also has an ability in your movement phase where this unit can move a distance up to its move characteristic. It can pass through other models and the combat ranges of enemy units, but it cannot end that move in combat. Then pick up to 1 enemy infantry unit that this unit passed across during that movement to be the target. Inflict D6 mortal damage on the target. Note, this unit can use this ability even if it is in combat. This is a good ability. Again, it could potentially combine with the ability up above, because the ability up above actually does modify its move characteristic, right? It's add 6 to it. So this guy can move 18 inches, suddenly be in combat, drive 18 inches away in your movement phase, do D6 mortals to a unit, and then potentially charge something else. This does not count as a retreat. So it's just it's a really good ability. This guy actually has a suite of potentially interesting abilities.
Yeah.
He's not going to do much in the way of damage, but they're cool abilities.
Yeah. He looks like, and again, from a hobbying's perspective, looks like he'd be a lot of fun to paint.
Agreed.
From that perspective, I think that'll be a lot. And the guy at the back is just, I think someone said that on the chat. that's just the little cherry on the cake.
Yes.
Yeah, it's beautiful looking. Really, really like it. It's nice
Uh,
because the chariots all remind me of one of my first experiences with Warhammer was with my cousin. I think it may be the Orcs and Empire
sure.
and the boars that were led
Yep.
that had the chariot. And because it was the biggest model of the, and that's how our childish brain worked. I was like, that's the coolest model because and the cannon and that, and I was like, it's kind of cool to revisit a model that had such a place in my, hobby nostalgia. But yeah, so I always appreciate a good chariot, especially
Yeah.
like that.
He very like what I'll say about their chariots and the chariot design is it very much feels like an upgraded version of the original, the old like boar chariots
Yeah.
from the ONG line. Yeah, agreed.
Mhm.
Okay, so then we've got our Snarl Boss and our Wolfkit Retinue. This is effectively our. This is the one that's the. I'm just looking real quick, right? Is this the? Which one's the one that? Yeah, I'm trying to think of what was the named guys that upgraded that just became generic. I think this is them, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Is this the Snarfang Riders?
Yeah, they're like I remember like
Lost.
some of these. There used to be like the named squad and then the generic squad. I think this is the genericized version of that one, if memory serves. So
Right, yeah, because then we've got the Snarfang Riders, which is the pack 5. This is the one
right,
where it's like retinue and you have two of them, I believe.
yeah,
I think so.
okay.
Yeah.
So at any rate, they're fine. The important part about the Snarl Boss, which is actually really really important, like the reason this dude is actually potentially good, is like this dude actually has good abilities. Um, the So Dadbod says, okay, here's some value. The Snarl Boss is 150. The Wolf Gitz retinue are 70 points, and you don't need to take the Snarl Boss to get the Wolf Git. Huh, interesting. Okay, cool. Good. Yeah, I didn't I didn't know Goonhammer had the points. Good for them. I didn't get any points. How come I didn't get points? You guys got points? All right. Anyways, this dude has good abilities. For 150, I dig him. He's fragile. Like he's very fragile. But
Yeah.
I don't care. Combat wise, he's like fine. He does whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's Rippus Snarlfangs repurposed, basically, is what these guys are. But
Yeah.
anyways, he adds 2 to the charge rolls for friendly Git Mob cavalry units while they're wholly within 12 of him. Period. Like all of them. That's great. Plus 2 to charge is such a huge bonus. That's a massive bonus. Right?
Yeah.
And that affects these guys, like his little Wolf Kit retinue, but it also affects the new cavalry as well. Right?
Yeah, the Jewel Riders. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly, the dual riders. Yeah. So I got a massive charge bonus. And again, these guys are all really, really fast. Like everything here is like 12 inches or 18 inches. So you do have a lot of distance. So being able to move that far across the board and then get the extra 2 inches on the charge, it's a really big deal.
Yeah.
I would love him so much more if he did it to War Machines as well. He doesn't, but that's okay. Cavalry's good. It's still a good bonus.
Mhm.
If he charged, by the way, then once per turn, he can also pick him and up to 2 friendly Git Mob cavalry units, and all of the companion weapons get +1 attack, which is fine.
Yeah.
It's something worth thinking about when we get to the good cavalry. The Wolf Git retinue is not doing anything that amazing other than giving both them and the other guy a 5-up ward, which is important because that guy, all these guys are made of paper, so having a 5-up ward means they could actually survive contact with like the other minor things they're probably going to be fighting. You're never going to put these guys against the enemy hammer, but like you could use him to catapult the other cavalry into something significant, into a meaty target, while he goes and charges potentially like their prospectors or something like that, and the 5-up ward will help diminish the crackback to that, because they're not going to do a lot of damage.
No.
So yeah,
They've got a bit of range as well, which is nice to have. But the Wolfkit retinue, their grot bows, 15-inch. It's nice to have a little bit of range sometimes.
yeah, exactly. Chris H says grot bows, hello. Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, okay. I'm not sure that 4 attacks on 4s and 5s, no rend 1 damage, no special abilities is is something I care about that much.
Yeah.
Or sorry, 2 attacks, because only one model's armed with the grot bow. I forgot. Yeah. All that shooting power. Yes, exactly. So fear the shooting power of 2 attacks, 4 up, 5 up, no rend, 1 damage. But yeah, I think the Snarl boss is worth it. I don't know if you actually take the revenue. I think it depends on points. 70's cheap. They do end up being 2 different units, which is nice. For just various and sundry purposes of needing to have like 2 units do things or whatever for battle tactics. But there you go. All right. The actual Sunsteel Wheelas, the chariots themselves. Will this break the chariot curse? No.
No. That was the short.
Easy answer.
Yeah.
Okay, so 12-inch move, 6 health, 4 up save. As well, they do have their grot bows. So again, the shooting power. They have attacks. That is true. Those are numbers and attacks. There is a profile there. They don't do anything, but it exists. And then they have their ability called Careening Destruction. This unit, it's a once per turn army your movement phase. This unit can move a distance up to its move characteristic. It can pass through other models and through the combat range of enemy units, but it cannot end that move in combat, then pick up to 1 enemy infantry unit. This unit passed across during that move to be the target. Inflict D3 mortal damage on the target. Add 1 to the amount of mortal damage inflicted for each model in this unit. And you're probably taking them in units of 2. That's how they generally will be often taken. And so, look, again, it can do it even if it's in combat. 2 chariots for 150 is the base price for this. Thank you, Dunk. Much appreciated. I'm glad we got the points there. I mean, look, very infantry focused. Okay. It's silly that this is my hate. I like this ability. I do not know why it's once per turn army. I don't know. If I have multiple units of these things, I should just be able to do it with all my units of Sunsteel Wheelas. Right? Like, you just should.
Yeah, it's a very weird restriction.
Like, was it a problem that an infantry-only target was going to take D3 mortal damage potentially twice? No. It was not a problem. Or D3 plus 2, I guess. Sorry.
Careful, you don't want to make them too powerful. That's
right. For a unit that, like, legitimately does approaching 0 damage.
Oof. Yeah.
Yeah, their like attacks are round to effectively 0. This is where I wish that the other thing, it would have been neat if the boss gave them rend on the pull-in, because that would have actually been like pretty meaningful. The difference here between them having no rend and like even 1 rend would be something. It wouldn't be the biggest deal, but it would be something. So I wish they had thought that through, but yeah, it's not. I think these things are going to mostly charge in. You're going to take 1 unit of them, and then they're going to turn into splinters.
Yeah. It just seems like a lot of dice rolling for your opponent to go, yeah, no wins. No damage taken. I'm like, cool, exactly. All right.
Yeah.
Sweet. That never feels good. It never feels good.
Yeah, I mean, like, we can go through the math just so everybody knows I'm not talking hyperbole here. Let's say you got 2 of these things. They charge in. That's 8 attacks with your Wheel of Slices and Stabasticas. The 8 attacks hitting on, assume no penalties, which is, not going to be the case all the time. But at any rate, 4 of them hit, 2 of them wound. There's no rend, so if they have an average 4 up save, then 1 damage goes through there. You got 12 jaw attacks. Again, 6 of them hit, about 4 of them wound, and then half of those are saved. So, like, all told, that unit does an average of about 4 damage against a 4 up save unit with no other benefits or bonuses.
They do have a bow, though.
That is true. Can't forget that shooting damage on the way in. Yeah.
The power of the bow. The bow.
Now let's talk about the one that I'm really excited about. This next unit, here we go.
This is the one. This is the one.
This is the real.
Yes.
Okay. Doom Diver Catapult. It's back. And like in a big way. So this thing does not move anywhere, but that's not surprising. It wasn't supposed to. And it's got 12 health, which is crazy health for this war machine. That is so much health.
That surprised me a lot, actually, that 12. Considering the chariots have 6, I thought chariots would have 8. This thing would have 10. 12, mate. Not bad.
It's
stay
really
around.
big, by the way. This model is really big. It's like the size of the
Is it like OCR Bone Reaper?
yeah, thank you. That's exactly what I was trying to conjure in my head. Yes, you are exactly correct. 200 points for the Doom Diver. Okay, but what to do? Well, it does a lot, actually. In that it makes 4 shots. Yeah, there you go.
It's a big boy.
It is, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Very
So,
cool.
4 shots, hitting on 4s, boo, but great target for all-out attack. Let me just say that. Wounding on 3s, so pretty easy to just get to 3s and 3s. Rend 3,
That's,
damage 3.
that's gonna be fun.
Yeah. That's a lot. Dadbod says, can it fit wholly within 6 inches of the shaman? Probably. I would, yeah, I think so. I don't think it's that big.
No, yeah.
So it couldn't be targeted. It'd be like the shaman would just sit right next to it. Yeah, I think you could.
UK parking. Just apply UK parking spots and you're fine.
There you go.
Just
Yep.
Squish them right in. Squish them right in.
Okay. So this thing is a very strong shooting weapon. And then in addition, like, frankly, we could have stopped at that profile at 200 points, and I probably would have been fine. But it's got an ability as well, which is once per turn army, which is kind of sad that it's once per turn. So you can't do this with, if you've got multiple Doom Divers, you can't stack them. But in this case, I actually understand. The effect is you can reroll hit rolls for this unit's shooting attacks this turn, but for each hit roll that is re-rolled, subtract 1 from the rend characteristic of this unit's Doom Diver for the rest of the turn. So ostensibly, like, you go down from rend 3 to rend 2 or rend 1 or whatever. I don't really care. I would certainly still use that ability and certainly still be happy to have these guys, like, an extra hit at rend 2 instead of 1 less hit at rend 3. Like, yeah, I'll take it. I'll take
Absolutely
3 hits
fine.
at rend 3 or rend 2 over 2 hits at rend 3. Like, absolutely.
Definitely. So, I mean, from what I can tell, that's the guy that's been flung.
Correcting.
Redirect himself.
Yeah.
That's cool. I love that.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Why has he got Rend? Oh, okay. I see why he's got Rend 3. His helmet has a very, very large spike on it, or what looks like might be a bomb, potentially. There's 2 different ways of building him, but yeah, big, long sword. So he just impales someone, he just drops the head, and someone's dead.
I apparently, what is stronger rend? The Slayer of Kings or one sharp goblin boy? You know, like, it's very funny. So yeah, I agree. Rend 3 might, as Dunk said, Rend 3 is probably wasted on some targets. Yeah, I agree. Like, you're gonna target plenty of things that are on like a 4 up or 5 up, and then who cares if you go to Rend 2, because, like, whatever, I'll take the shot. Yeah. Good. Thomas said, good artillery. Are we rolling out our mission accomplished banner? Yeah, indeed. I think so. This is actually good artillery. It's long range. It has a lot of shots. It has real rend. It actually does damage. Like,
Is it better than the OCR one? I think it might be.
in the void, yes.
Yeah.
Like, some of the OCR thing has some interesting different overlap, like with the OCR, the build that specifically focuses on it. But yes, unit to unit comparison, it's absolutely better.
Yeah. That's. I mean, this is exactly the model that. So we were both on the same page as such. This is the model I looked at. I immediately skipped to, and I was just like, "Whoa, that could be fun. That could be a lot of fun."
And as Chris,
it's the type of model that you're just gonna laugh every time you're using it. I think, even if you
100%.
miss, that's what I play for.
As Chris H said, by the by, this thing is Gitmob. And so if you're in the right phases of the moon, it can retreat and shoot. Like, it doesn't have shoot in combat, but it can just retreat back and then shoot the thing that charged it. Pretty good.
It's fun.
So, not too shabby. Yeah, Doom Diver, good. Boss, good. Doom Diver, good. I'll say that. And I don't hate the, like, melee Warwheeler guy. He's okay.
Yeah, he's fun. Boss,
all right.
Yeah.
Our new Snarl Pack Cavalry is next up. Also 12-inch move, 3 health because there's 2 goblins and a wolf. So it's just that's just math right there. 1, 2, 3. There you go.
Destruction, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Very simple.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. How many Doom Divers you running? I think you run 2. 1 to all out attack and 1 to use the ability on. I think that's the correct answer. Anywho, so the Snowpack is they themselves make 4 attacks on 4s and 5s, no rend, again, 1 damage. They do have charge plus 1 damage, and then they've got their big wolf, which is 3 attacks, 4s, 3s, no rend, 2 damage. They get a big control score buff if they charged, which is very funny. These guys come in packs of 3 in their unit. So you get 3 of them for 3 control, but they go to 8 control on the charge. So that's fine. And they have automatically strike first if they charge, but only 1 unit of them. Only 1. Don't be thinking you're going to do multiples. That's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's your feeling on these guys? They're 120 points for 3, so you can get 6 for 240.
Okay, from a modeling perspective, I'll take from that because
sure.
I've just finished these guys. Beautiful to put together.
Sure.
They look great when they're on the wolf. So from that perspective, big old tick for me.
Hold on, I have an important hobbying question related to these guys because I haven't put them together yet. Are the gobos like separate from the wolf? Can you just like assemble the wolf and paint him and then set the goblins on top?
And they fit like a glove.
Perfect.
Like,
okay, then A plus.
Yeah, they were really nice to put together.
Awesome.
I mean the lack of rend that hurts. That hurts. Yeah. You know, I thought, you know, a wolf going at 12. Again, when I'm thinking of the rules, I really try and put myself into the world of it. And I'm like, a wolf charging at full speed. They've got lances. Oh, they've got to have a rend? No. And maybe the charge. I think I would rather have a rend on the charge than the extra pip of damage.
Yeah.
I think. Especially that wounding on 5s. That's rough. That is that's not fun. So they're, again, middle of the road. Fine. They got a lot of maneuverability. Yeah, that's really it, unfortunately. I wish I could say more cool things about it. I think that's the kind of general consensus of the Git mob is like, I wish I could say that they're great, but I'd just be lying.
Yeah,
I'd just be like, I feel dishonest. And yeah, I mean,
if you do the math, you got 6 of them charging in, okay?
Yeah.
So you're talking about with 6 of them, you got 25 attacks, right?
Mm-hmm.
We'll round up. We'll say we hit with 13. Okay.
Yep.
We're gonna wound with 4 of those. Okay, we'll round down on that side. And then they're gonna save half, so that's worth 2 damage. 2. And then the 6 bitey wolves are gonna make 18 attacks. You hit with 9 of them. You wound with 6 of them. They save half of them for 3. Again, against a 4-up save, it's worth 6 damage. So it's about 7 damage total for like the full unit. The issue is this army is just going to struggle bus against anything with a decent save. Like anybody with penalties to hit, putting these guys to like 5s to hit is going to be just, your damage will go through the floor. Anybody with like a 3-up or a 2-up save, anything like in that range, these guys just bounce. They just do no damage.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It is unfortunate. It would have been nice for like 4s and 4s or 4. Just give us something. Just slim pickings, like they are. You really are. Yeah, it's important. I mean, the rules are fun. Like I think the marking the territory, that's a funny rule. You know, the idea. That's fun, but you don't really want to be using these guys to hold objectives. They're maneuverable, cool. Are these the ones that would benefit from the extra?
Yeah, these guys get the bonus to charge, which is cool.
Yeah, 18 inches, and so they can move, and then the snarl boss.
You give them plus 2 to charge. Yeah,
that's only the some. Yeah, so plus 2. Fine, a lot of movement. I mean, it is a game of movement, but you would like to have something that can punch, and as far as I can tell, that's not here.
Yeah, and this
really.
is basically their heavy cavalry. Like, I understand the regular Snarlfang riders not having rend. I guess I still would have rather like. I think cavalry should just kind of have neg one to rend, period,
Yeah,
because they really do just struggle to do damage without that. It's neat that they have a good mount. Like, it is a good mount. It's a very good
yeah,
mount. 2 damage base mount is solid, but the complete lack of rend is just, it's really hurtful. Because against any kind of high armor army,
doing
you're
nothing.
just hoping that like your chariots and your boss are just gonna kill the entire army with mortal damage because you ain't doing any damage otherwise, right?
No.
Um,
Yeah, it's a
so
shame. Yeah. Beautiful looking models. Rules just let them down
yep,
a
yep.
lot, fortunately. The
You're
strike
asking
thing,
about the Dunk asked, is there's a Moon Clan hero that hands out a rend buff? So I think you're talking about who actually does the rend buff?
is
Somebody. I thought it was the
the
Loon boss, but it's not.
I thought it was. No, he doesn't do that, I think. Is there anything that does it in?
I'm trying to think of who gives rend. I'm not sure you can give it to these guys. That's the problem.
Yeah. Well, I think it's locked into a specific unit, isn't it? Potentially, or keyword. Potentially. So let's see if I can find
You
anything.
could Gabapalooza can give a rend buff through nasty poisons, so that is one option.
Yeah.
Um, that's meaningful. It's only on a 3 up, but something. That's
Yeah.
yeah. So they can do it, and they can do it to anybody because their target can be any Gloomspite Gitz unit. So that's cool.
See anything else?
Let's see. I'm trying to think of anything else that would buff these guys in here that I'm forgetting about. Moon Clan only. Moon Clan only. Yeah, a lot of that stuff is Moon Clan only.
Yeah, it's all locked in. Yeah. That's a shame.
Yeah, but yeah, I think Gabapalooza is probably your best answer. So there you go.
And again, they're what's the range on it? Is it
It's basically unlimited, so that's nice.
oh yeah. All right. So bring them along, buff them up a little bit, make them a little bit more threatening.
Yeah,
But I mean a little bit, you've got to get through that 4 and then 5 wounds.
sure.
It's tough. It's tough
Yep.
going.
It's especially hard, by the way, because both of those like mortal damage hits from your chariots, it's all really limited to infantry, right? And there's plenty of armies you fight that are mostly cavalry and other things, and all of a sudden
Yeah.
you just can't do mortal damage to them. You can't punch through and hit them with your weapons. Ouch, that hurts. So okay, moving on. Let's talk about the most essential manifestation that's ever been printed ever. Cool. Okay. The Malevolent Moon. So most of the other manifestations stayed basically the same. And, Scuttle Tide is still useful for its like ability to block up a huge section of the board because it's so big. The little pot can still increase your power level. All those things are still fine, right? But the Malevolent
Oh,
Moon.
oh wow. I've just looked at this properly.
Yeah.
You're right. Yep.
Yep. There you go. So
That's a
you're
lot.
never going to attack with the moon because who cares? That's stupid. I hate that they
What?
even gave it a profile, frankly. Um, what the Malevolent Moon does is while friendly Gloomspite Gitz units are wholly within 12 of this manifestation, pretty good bubble. They are affected by all 4 faces of the bad moon. So effectively, as long as the moon's around, as long as this moon is around, you don't have to worry about other moon manipulation like the spell or Scragrot, right? Because you're under all 4 phases of the moon. You can do the retreat and shooter charge. You get the neg 1 rend if you're talking about your trogs and so on and so forth. Like you just get it all. So you're gonna try to cast this thing a lot.
A lot, yeah.
And you're gonna try to run it around with your army, and people are gonna try to banish it, and then you're gonna try to cast it off turn, and so on and so forth. Like that's what's going to happen here because you want this thing to exist.
12-inch movement. Second, it's rapid as well, which is good.
Yeah.
It's not going to get left behind, which is fantastic. Yeah, this it has to be on the board.
Right.
Like that's it. Which is you're I wasn't sure which one you were talking about, and now that you've said this, yeah, that's a mandatory spell to be on that board at all times.
Yeah, exactly. It casts on a 7, which is unfortunate. That makes off-turn casting real rough.
Yeah.
But like, nonetheless, it's it's just really good. Yeah, I understand. It's got an attack profile, so you can't deep strike within 9 inches of it. Like, yeah, I get it. I get why they did it. I just like, it's like the bell in Skaven, the bell of Dom. Like, you don't actually ever attack with it. It floats behind the line and bubbles out neg 1 to wound. It's very useful. Neg 1 to be wounded, sorry. Which is like extremely useful. But it's just like the fact that it's actually what it used to do. Yes, ZK, it used to make you count as though you were under the light of the bad moon. But that's so different now in its new form. The fact that it lets you count as all 4 faces simultaneously is just really useful, right? Because you can't get at that otherwise. Like, that's what's important to understand here. It's actually doing something like way, way different. Because if you are playing some kind of mixed army, right? If your army's mixed between 2 forces, like you got to play first of all 2 that are adjacent to each other, right? So like, let's say you're playing, we'll zip back up here so you can see it. But like, let's say you're playing Squigs and Gitmob, then you really are trying to hold the moon in Sulkin, so that way you have the set 4 move characteristic, and you have the retreat and charge, because that becomes your only face if you're using both of those 2 forces that let you actually access your special abilities. The second it moves anywhere, half your army's losing its abilities, right? But the moon, the malevolent moon, says, don't worry about any of that. That's all nothing. I got you covered, dog. I got all 4 faces all the time, all day long. So very useful if you're going to have split armies in any way. Like, if you like the idea of playing not all 1 force, which, by the way, should be the way, like, it seems like it's the way they want you to play, and it seems like the fun thing to actually do. I hate picking out like 1 mono thin slice of a big army book like this, right? Then yeah, yes, correct, ZK. That's what I'm saying. The new wheel is worse at buffing mixed forces and makes the endless spell more important. Yes, exactly correct. Because there's always, if you have a mixed force, there's always, and assuming those 2 forces have to be adjacent, like, you can't, like, playing Trogs and Gitmob is a real suck. Because there's no overlapping moon face for them.
Yeah, no.
Right? It's the same with doing Squigs and regular Moon Clan. There's no overlapping moon face. Right? So you just, like, you can't hold the moon anywhere where your whole army is getting buffed. Right? So hence, Malevolent Moon. There you go.
Gotta be present.
Yep.
Yeah. To make them,
actually use your battle traits. Yeah.
To use the thing that makes them who they are. Yeah, he has to be there.
Oh, I know, Dunk. We're getting there. Don't worry. We're gonna get to them Armies of Renown, and I'm gonna have some things to say. Last up is just the Bad Moon Loon Shrine. It's worth mentioning quickly because it doesn't count as the moon anymore. It does allow you to still do replacement units. You can pick a friendly non-hero, non-monster, non-war machine Gloomspite Gitz unit that has been destroyed and set up a replacement unit with half the number. I hate that they put in that exception because you can't call back your chariots, which sucks.
Yeah.
Like, I get it, but...
Yeah, but I mean, it's not like this army's, like, overpowered. Like,
no, yeah, exactly, right?
Something like,
let them wheel on out of that little cave hole. Why not? Sure, they were driving around underground. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right?
Someone's fantastic with woodwork.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it makes the chariots worse in a way that, like, I hate when they do stuff like this. It's what they did with Soulblight back in the day, and like, oh, these things aren't summonable. Okay, well then they're garbage. Right?
Yeah.
And like, I understand no Doom Divers, but it's half the unit, right? They could have just said something else, or they could have exempted the Doom Diver in some other way that lets you get chariots back. Like there was something they could have written in here to allow you to get the chariots and not the Doom Divers back. It's not that hard. Okay?
Yeah, yeah. A little bit
Words exist. Just use words.
Everything but this one right here. Everything else fine, just not that one, which
Yeah.
is understandable.
Well, Joe, we've seen all the ways to manipulate the moon. It's the Endless Spell, Scragrot, and summoning the Malevolent Moon. That's your moon manipulation, right? That's your trifecta of moon manipulation. So, there you go. Yeah, they could. Thank you. Dunk said they could have just said with 2 or more models. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Easy. Done. Look, we fixed it in 10 seconds. So, yeah. Okay. Anyways, I hate that. It makes me sad because I think the chariots are cool, even though I don't think they're very good. And this just makes them worse. But I like them. All right. Let's talk about AOR, shall we? Little Armies of Renown. These are real bad and do not work. So that's unfortunate. Get hyped for some of the worst written Armies of Renown ever. This is exciting.
Is this enough level of hype?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm feeling the hype. I'm feeling it.
There we go.
There it is. Yes. Yes.
I think it's a one fist hype.
This is a super cool piece of art, I will say. So anyways, like the Loon Boss does look cool with his like Moon Mac, the old McDonald's guy from the 90s. There was a slight aside. There was a like special McDonald's like his franchises, right? So people can like just start their own franchises. Here in the state where I live, there was a guy, this is a rich guy who really loved McDonald's. And so he like opened his own franchise at McDonald's. And he turned one into like this beautiful, huge, it's way out in the middle of nowhere. But he turned it into this huge, beautiful, like luxury McDonald's. It was gorgeous, like all glass and all this. And he had an automated piano played by that Mac the Moon Tonight guy. He would he was a little robot that would sit there and play the piano. It's like, the old West automated piano player, dude.
Yeah.
In the McDonald's. So as you're eating your McDonald's, Mac the Night was sitting there playing the piano in there. Yeah. It was crazy.
If you're rich, that's what you can do. That's the only thing you should do.
I support that. If you're rich, do weird stuff like that. I don't know. Like, that's not evil. That's weird, but like, just be a weirdo. I don't know. He still is like, it was interesting. It was a cool place to visit. So
you remember it, so that's pretty good.
That was like 30 years ago. I went to that place. Yeah, so I don't even know if it's still around. But anyways, okay. Drogs Git Mob. So you gotta have Drogs. Who's cool, so that's good.
Yeah.
And then you get any Git Mob units. So if you're into the all Git Mob thing, as we've been discussing, then this is one way you can build it, right? You take Drogs, you take all the Git Mob stuff, your chariots, your Wolfie Riders, your Doom Divers. That's what you can take. That's it. That's all. Okay. You get to set up your units in reserve, which is cool. So that's fun.
Yep.
And then in your movement phase, you can bring them out from the battlefield edge. So not anywhere, but they can kind of roll on. So okay, fine. You get a fight from reserve thing, or come in from ambush thing. Fine. You also have these 2 abilities, Glowering Light. So both are once per turn army. One is in any combat phase. One is in the enemy combat phase. So the first one in any. Pick an enemy unit in combat with a friendly Drogs Git Mob unit that has charged this turn to be the target. Which is nice because people can charge off turn. So it could be in the enemy turn. Could be somebody countercharges you. Whatever. A roll a die on a 3-up for the rest of the turn. That target cannot make pile-in move when it's picked to use a fight ability. I actually like this. It's a pretty good ability. Shutting off pile-in, as we saw in the last edition, is pretty strong. It's nice, especially to shut off a countercharge. So that's cool. The Steve 19 says, my McDonald's had a 2-scale dinosaur in it wearing a giant Hawaiian shirt. Holy crap. Rich franchise weirdos must just be doing this stuff all around the country. That's great. That's great.
Actually, piano and I raised a dinosaur in a Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah. That's fun. Okay.
Yeah, that stuff.
Your other ability, like, it's not a super powerful ability, but it's good. Especially if someone, like, just tags you in with the charge. That's nice. You can shut them down from actually getting their full damage in. It's good.
Yeah.
And then you've got your This Fight's Not For Me. This is the enemy combat phase. Pick a friendly Drogs Git Mob unit that is in combat with any enemy units that charge this turn, and is not in combat with any enemy units that did not charge this turn. Roll a die. On a 4-up, they can retreat. So this is giving you basically that sort of another bite at that off-turn retreat ability. It should note you're using the retreat ability, so you will take damage when you leave.
Yeah. Yep.
Again, at least this isn't once per battle. It's on a 4-up, but at least it's not once per battle. So, okay.
Sure. Yeah.
It's still got the destruction. Flip a coin. Flip a coin. Your unit's dead or alive. Oh, yeah. They're dead. Yeah.
Good pitch.
Your other abilities here is you got your heroic trait, stick them and run. Each time this unit uses a retreat ability or the careening destruction ability before moving this unit, pick an enemy unit in combat with it. You do some extra mortal damage. Fine. Or the Plucky Git. When this unit has no damage points, friendly Drogs Git Mob units have a ward of 6 up while they're wholly within 9 inches. Okay. Why did we need the restriction of has no damage points allocated? Like, why did we need that?
So single damage, gone.
Correct. Like,
a lucky arrow.
Like, it's a 6-up ward in a 9-inch bubble. Are you being for real right now? Like, what is this?
Fishing with a hook, just a hook, no bait, just a hook, just
absolutely.
Oh, absolutely nothing. Surprise, surprise. Welcome to destruction.
So that's bad. They're both kind of bad. Yeah. It's fine. The spell lore is okay. Like you're unlimited. You get just the unlimited spell. It's fine. It gives you crit 2 hits.
Yeah.
Okay.
With hits that are so powerful. Yeah. No, it doesn't. Does that include the?
No.
No.
It does not affect the companions.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so the wolves, the thing that you want to hit with.
Correct.
Gotcha.
This spell would be like way more interesting if it affected the companions. Way more interesting, but it doesn't. Instead, you just get crit 2 hits on your 4-up, 5-up, no rend, 1 damage guys. So, look out. Your manifestation is the big mushroom. It doesn't matter. You're probably just gonna pick something different because you can do that apparently for reasons I can't fathom. With Armies of Renown. And then your artifact of power is a once per battle thing that does nothing. It is a once per battle, again, roll a die, and it potentially does nothing. So there you go. It's
like,
sad.
I wanted to be pumped about this, and I think just the
right. And I should say, remember, you also don't get the moon. So you lost all your retreat and charge other than that one ability. Your retreat and charge, retreat and shoot. Like, that's all gone because there's no moon. So...
Okay.
What is this doing?
I don't know.
Audio Anarchy with a super chat saying, why are these rich guys so evil? Can't they just be weirdos and not hurt anyone? They have money. Yeah, it's the only thought I have anymore. Yeah, exactly, Audio. Absolutely. Like... I say bring back rich weirdos who just want to set up dinosaurs in Hawaiian shirts. That's what I say. That's an amiable goal for a rich weirdo. All right.
Yeah.
At any rate, this Army of Renown is like real bad. It's real bad.
Yeah. Sucks. It just you. This is it. That's the response. Just listening to that again. I've done a little bit, but then going through it in that detail, I'm like, oh, okay. Next.
Yeah, thank you. Next. Somehow we're going to get even worse. Because this one actually just like doesn't kind of work. So there's like lots of things about this one that just doesn't work. So this is the King's Gitz. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We have a question. Justin wants to know, where do I get that badass More War hoodie? People want to know. Tell them about that. Share. We talked about it before.
It's going to be coming out on Saturday. We're going to be announcing this new merch on Saturday with the release of my Box the Board challenge with the new Git mob. So I appreciate that. It's I have to. I got it from we were talking about this earlier.
Yeah, yeah. From
Yeah,
fourth wall, yeah.
and this arrived the other day, just before my D&D weekend in Bristol, and very comfy. I've not taken it off since.
Nice.
So yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate
Very
that
nice.
a lot.
Yes. More Warhammer will be linked below, so please do make sure you go. Give Ben a sub. He's, obviously been great this whole episode. So yes, everything is linked down below, so check it out. Okay.
Appreciate it.
The King's Gitz. By the way, hit like if you get right now if you haven't already, because you're only going to be more sad after I read these rules. So here we go. Okay.
Good night, too.
Scragrot has to be included. You can have any Moon Clan units, so keep in mind that's like your regular dorks and your squig guys now. Those are all Moon Clan. Okay.
Yep.
You get the Loon Shrine still. You can have 0 to 2 non-hero Troggoth units, and that's what you get. You do not get the Moon. Okay? Or any of the other stuff. All right. So, what do you have? Well, you have the Moon and the Loon. While a friendly unit is wholly within 9 inches of Scragrot, they effectively get the 2 abilities they would get out of the Moon.
The Moon, yeah.
The 5 control score and the 4-up move, but it's in a very tight bubble.
Yeah, holy again, that
around this one guy. Okay? Not the whole board, like the normal Moon. Just this tiny little fellow on a 60 by 35 cavalry base. Okay.
Right.
And then it's a good start. Your trolls get to act as ward guards, which you don't need for Scragrot since he already has a ward.
Is it not 4-up? Is it not a 4-up?
Yeah, his ward's already 4-up. Yeah, Scragrot. Yeah.
So
they could technically bodyguard like the Loon Boss on foot or something, like, because that's what you were really looking for. You were worried about that guy. I'm sure.
I was. I mean, you've.
One, you were definitely taking him, and then 2, you were worried about whether or not he died.
I want to keep him around at all times.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's okay. Okay, calm down now.
Sure. Then we have this new ability that is the thing they write into these when they can't think of any other abilities. Okay? I love this rule now. They're like, we're out of ideas. Just throw D3 more enhancements at them. This is the thing they're doing now, which is very funny to me. So at any rate, you get to pick up to D3 friendly, non-unique King's Gitz heroes that do not have an enhancement, and give each hero 1 enhancement from the King's Gitz Army of Renown rules. Fine. You can't repeat, as always. I don't know that I have that many heroes, because I mean, if I play the 5-drop version of the army, so I can double tap try to go for the double tap on the honor guard, maybe, but otherwise I have 2 heroes, and one of them is Scragrot. So what am I doing here? Nothing.
Almost redundant.
Yeah, correct.
That's.
So yes. So then what do you get? Okay. So once per battle, you get to recall a unit. You get to set up a replacement unit wholly within 12 inches of a friendly Loon Shrine, more than 3 inches from all enemy units. This is different. You still have the Loon Shrine, but then basically once per battle at the end of your turn, if a unit's destroyed, you get to pick it has to be non-reinforced, non-hero, non-monster that's been destroyed, and you can call them back. You get the whole unit, but they can't be reinforced.
Can't be like a big block of 40 stabbers or something. It has to be 20. Why?
Yeah, I mean, that really sucks, because what you want to recall is obviously like a full unit of probably Boingrot Bounders or something like that, right? Like, that would be the actual useful thing to do. But no, you can't.
Get done. You're having too much fun.
Yeah, exactly. So that's also bad, because in this edition, non-reinforced units are just dead. Ostensibly, what it would probably be is if you had Squig Hoppers as your prospectors and they just go out and die, you'll probably just recall them. And
yeah,
it's fine. Like, is that a good ability? No. Is it a bad ability? Also no. It's just like, meh. It does something, I guess. So it's fine.
Middle of the road. Back again. Strong, isn't it? Yep. Okay.
Your other heroic trait you could take here is Glare Jester. Keep in mind, obviously, you could take a bunch of these, because you could take the D3 thing if you did have a bunch of heroes and went super high drops. And you get to pick a friendly infantry unit within 3 inches unit that's not in combat, and then you get plus D3 inches to your move. So, but you can't end near the hero.
Oh,
You have to walk away from the hero. Otherwise, they inflict a bunch of damage on the hero as they stab him because they're angry at him for having a shiny face.
yeah. The only thing, and I mean the only thing that is making me less sad is reading the fluff. This Grot thinks he's the funniest of all Grotum. Everyone disagrees. So it's literally some guy on jokes and everyone's like,
yeah, they get away from him faster. I appreciate that a very bad ability that's like plus D3 move needed a downside. Only in destruction.
Yeah.
Only in America.
I hope my wife does not watch this because I'm trying to
break her spirit. Yeah.
I'm trying to convince her that
there's a lot of fun that could be in this army that can be had. I'm still convinced of that. I just think that like it's really sad. Some of these like the AORs just aren't any good. That's not, but it's fine. You don't like the AORs or whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
Look, then you have your 3 artifacts.
Sure.
And it's the moon honed shiv would be really fun. I'd actually love it if I could give this to a get mob thing. You get you pick one of your non-companion weapons, you get +1 to attack, and then every time you retreat, you get an additional +1 attack, which is really cool and flavorful and would be really fun on a get mob model. Here, it's not. There's not that many things I want to retreat with. There's no special abilities to retreat, so what are we doing? There's a basic bad ward for when you're contesting objectives, and then there's a bad mortal damage thing that you can do. So all of those are bad. Okay, cool. You have 2 spells in your spell lore. Your unlimited one is not bad. It's okay. You pick a wizard until the start of your next turn. Add 1 to the attack characteristic of melee weapons used by champions in the target unit. That's right. That the one champion, the one guy, gets +1 to attack. That's right. Yeah. You get
that is so specific.
Yeah, exactly. You get to roll 1 additional die when you rally, and you get to add 1 to the target's control score. The Daloon King's command. You get it? It's the command.
Yeah.
You get a second command unit because it's having another champion, musician, and standard bearer. Neat.
Yep.
It's not terrible. It's fine. Like it's little bonuses, but on a 5 up to cast.
On little. The emphasis on little. Yeah.
Correct. And then you also have a spell that lets you target a unit and they get anti-hero +1 rend. Okay. Fine.
Yeah.
Fine. And then hilariously, your manifestation lore is to summon the moon. Now, this is where we have to talk about this. You can summon the malevolent moon, which does nothing. It does nothing. Literal nothing. Because you count anybody near the moon counts as being in all 4 phases of the moon. The problem is this army does not get the rules for the moon. So it counts as being under grinning, cackling, sulking, and whatever, and then it tries to go look and says error 404, rules not found. Okay? And it blue screens and your game explodes. So you literally summon a manifestation that does nothing. I mean, it can attack, I guess.
I was going to say, it has a single attack.
Yeah, it does have a profile. It can bonk you.
I mean, I think it should be a mission. If you do that, your goal in that game should be to just
kill people with the moon.
On its massive 4 up, 4 to hit, 3 to wound, 0 rend, D3 damage.
I would also point out that could it affect sneaky snufflers? Yes, because the sneaky snufflers say if they're near something if the moon is cackling, then they get +1 to that roll. So there you go. Okay, it does 0.1 of something out of everything. Yeah. At any rate, I should also point out that you have to take Scragrot in this army, right? Yeah. Scragrot's main ability is the ability to manipulate the moon. A thing rules you no longer have. So the entire foundational principle of this army, both your manifestation and your main guy, just do not have, they didn't write in the rules that you still get to access the moon. They just like forgot. In their heads, when they wrote this, they were thinking you still got access to the moon, but you do not. And everybody who read it was just like, yeah, that's fine.
How many people did this go through?
Oh, these usually go through like a dozen people. So like a dozen people read this and just nothing. Just missed it. Thumbs up. Exactly. Oh. There you go. You're on a Mac. It's hilarious.
Yeah, that's one word. That's one word I would use for that's very accurate.
Like, yeah, I'm at a complete loss. No, GW doesn't have a dozen rules writers. They have like 4 people, but keep in mind, there's editors and other people who are reading it, right? I think there's like 5 people, I think, total on the rules team. Then you've got leads. I think it's 4. And then you've got the leads. They would all read it. Then you'd have the editors who would read it. You've got, other people who are reading it too. So, yep.
It's
hilarious.
Yeah, the dangers of copy pasta. Yeah.
This is truly the funniest thing. I said it was going to surprise you because the first one was so bad, right? And then we got to this one and you were like, it can't possibly be worse. Oh, it's dumber. It is somehow dumber. Yeah, plus all the playtesters don't. Yeah. Like, assumingly every playtester also missed this. Right? I don't even know how many of those there are. No, there is a content editor and a grammatical editor, yes.
That is wild. I think I've heard this is honestly my first like proper in-depth look at these things, and I hear people say, "Oh, they're not great." There's they're broken, and I've been like, for competitive play, but for casual players like me, probably. But no, this is.
Yeah, I want these to be for casual players. That's what these should be for. They should be functional, for God's sakes. Like, I'm not asking for them to be like the competitive bar. My favorite one of these, of the Armies of Renown they've printed so far, is the like Hero Hammer one out of Stormcast. It's not competitive, but it is fun. Like, I've played it. It's fun. You have like Bastion out, all these Stormcast heroes, and you're just like coming down, riding the lightning, just the best of Stormcast trying to smash. It's not competitive, but it works. It's functional and it's fun, and that's the bar they couldn't clear here. It's shocking.
Yeah. That's step 1, functional.
Right. Yeah. That's a low bar.
Yeah. Does it work, guys? Mm-hmm. Does it work? Oh, we've already printed it. Whatever. Oh, that's a shame. That's So these are you. I mean, you just.
Yeah, they're both skip. Like, just skip. Pretend like they don't exist.
That
okay.
Sucks.
It does, but at the same time, it's fine. Like I said, I think there is some traction in some of the new Gitmob stuff. I do think like I think like the boss, I think the Doom Driver is really good. I think the boss on the Chariot can be pretty useful. I think there is a use. I think actually 6 of the Wolf Riders, like 1 unit of those 6 Wolf Riders, is actually an interesting thing for 240 points or whatever, or 2 or 300. I don't remember exactly what they are. I think that's actually, like, even without the Rend, I think it's still an interesting unit because it is so fast and can get, and with the Snarl Boss can get that awesome charge bonus, and like they can get behind the lines pretty effectively and get at softer targets. So I do think like I think this army is actually fun. I think it's a finesse army that's going to be really hard to play if you lean on Gitmob, right? It takes skill if you're going to play a highly competitive game, but I think it can work. These are just like a joke. The Armies of Renown are just a joke. So
yeah. No, I mean I'm looking forward to actually playing them again, because that's what I'll try and do. So my wife plays them, so she's going to be running them around. But it ends on such a bum note, unfortunately. But I think you're right. It's gonna be a type of army. I'm looking forward to seeing how a skilled player will be able to, utilize all of the skills that are going to be required to make this army
like
very good.
daughters. It's a very finesse army, right? It takes you gotta use your pieces carefully because they're fragile. All right, we'll end out here. We'll talk about the regiments of renown, which I don't hate. I don't know how much these cost, and that is obviously going to be meaningful. But the first one I actually the regiments of renown I don't dislike. They're fine. So
Yeah.
the first one's the Shine Steelist. This is basically like a bunch of the it's like the box, basically.
Spearhead box, yeah, that is the spearhead box, I believe.
So it's the Snarl Boss, the Wolfkit Revenue with 2 models. So him and his 2 boys. It's the Snarl Pack Cav with 3 models, a Snarl Pack Cav with 3 models, and then the Sunstealer Wheelie unit with 2 models. So it's fine. And so it's a cool Army of Renown. It's basically all the new stuff. They can all go into reserve, which is fine. And they set up anywhere. Pick all units in this regiment. They all go into reserve. And then they all come out anywhere on the battlefield more than 9 inches from all enemy units. So it's cool. They can all just drop out. Like the whole thing. And they don't have to set up next to each other, by the way. So they can just pop all over the board. Yeah.
That's good. That is cool.
Pretty cool. I actually really think that's pretty cool in Sons of Bahamut and Ironjaws. I think in both of those armies it could have some potential play. So
oh, that's interesting. That's with the Ironjaws, because that's gonna be my next project is the Ironjaws, and their mobility is an issue.
Exactly. This gives you like some cool ambush stuff to get out there, kind of potentially get in the way, score some battle tactics, like block up enemy charges and stuff. Yeah.
Let the Ironjaws come in and do their thing. I like that. That's cool.
And you still got the Snarl Boss who's giving you the bonus to charge, which is really cool when he comes down. So you could like, if you can, for example, like let's say against a Skaven player, some of their guns are exposed, right? This lets you drop off turn and then potentially get the charge in on them because you're dropping at 9 inches, but you've got a 7-inch charge to get in because of the +2 charge. So
yeah.
Pretty cool. Like I said, I like this Regiment of Renown. I think it's actually pretty good, and it works well in a couple of the armies there. I don't think like ogres needed it. I don't think it's doing anything for them, but for the other two, for Ironjaws and Sons, I think it's pretty interesting and useful. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I like that they actually gave us a good regiment with the new units that seems useful. So good. Yeah, like thumbs up. Yeah, it's a good thing. So even if you're not playing this army, it actually gives you a good use here. The other one is Skullcrick's Loon Lads. This is kind of the old Moon Clan folks. So this is 1 Loon Boss, a Stabby unit with 20 models, and a Fanatic unit with 5 models. And the melee weapons, the passive is the melee weapons of units in this Regiment of Renown have anti-charge +1 rend while they're contesting an objective you control. I don't know what the points is on this one. If it's super cheap, it could be okay to be like a deck chair sitter effectively, guarding one of your home objectives, because then, plus anti-charge +1 rend and stuff like that. It can just kind of sit there and be somewhat useful as a little pack.
Could be quite cheap as well, just based on what the models that are there. I think.
Yeah, there's not a lot in it, right? It's pretty simple. So, you've got your netters and stuff. You've got your little Loon Boss guy. Like again, the Loon Boss dude can restore models to his unit still. Because he's carrying that ability with him. And so that's pretty nice. Like he can put back D6 slain models in your hero phase, so that's actually pretty useful if they don't die. So it's 20 wounds. It's not bad. You've got the Fanatics as well to get there and threaten and cause some damage and have strike first and stuff. So yeah,
they could pop off as well. 5 of them with D6 attacks, 4s, 3s, rend 2 damage. They could hit hard if they. Yeah,
they become rend 3 when charged. Right, and they have strike first, which is cool. So they're actually a very scary thing to like sit on your home objective.
It would deter. It would deter if you look at that initially and you're like, wow, it's just a bunch of grots, and then those things. The fact that's fun.
Yeah,
I like that.
So again, if these things are cheap, I think it's funny because the Armies of Renown are so bad, but the Regiments of Renown I think both actually have potential. So I guess 50%. Yeah, exactly. It really is just a tale of two cities, right? So
It really is. I mean, it's literally what it's a coin toss
yeah,
again.
best of times, worst of times. That's destruction.
Yeah.
The on a 4 up to get good rules, I guess. And the Armies of Renown came up bad. But these two are both interesting. So
Yeah, that's cool.
So there you go. What final any final thoughts, Ben, on this one?
I think middle of the road is how I think we started with that, and I think that's it's a nice summary of the army.
Yep.
Models from a hobbying perspective, beautiful models. Looks like they're going to be a lot of fun. The catapult, again, just being a big centerpiece model for that.
Really good.
It looks, can't wait to see that. Again, the Pudgy King is a beautiful looking model. Lots of fun to paint up.
And good. I think you'll see him in a lot of armies, actually. Like, even if you were doing like a largely Trog thing, I think he could be pretty useful in there.
Yeah, and I think it's always nice. Just that's this is the thing I love about this hobby is that there's so many aspects to enjoy of it. Like if you don't play the games, beautiful models to paint up. If you play the games, again, you can play it at whatever level you like, and that's kind of the angle I'm probably gonna do. I'm trying to think of the angle for this box to board, and that's essentially the angle I'm taking. Is this is an army that I would recommend if you want to have fun.
Yeah.
Does this get mob? Am I still going to say the same thing? I think spoiling the video a little bit. I think I am. I think it's going to be still a lot of fun. Are you going to be the most powerful army on the board? Nope.
No.
Nope. But will you have fun? I think so. So yeah,
I agree. I think people will still try to do Trog heavy stuff, but
yeah.
But that being said, I do think there's play in potentially, like I said, I think actually some mix of like the squig units and the new Git mob could be a good combination. You have a phase of the moon you can benefit completely in. You have an extremely mobile army. Some of the I wouldn't use I definitely would not use the what are they? The Manglers right now, because the Manglers are terrible. They're so bad. It makes my head hurt. But like the Squig Herd is really good and can like oftentimes bring things down through sheer weight of dice. You've got so like that dude, like I think those guys are really good. I think the Boingrots and the Squig Hoppers still have potential. So and the Boingrots do have rend and the charge +1 damage. And like again, the fact that you can just get like 10 inches of move automatically out of the Boingrots, or 12 inches out of the Hoppers, or 8 inches out of the Squig, or 7 inches out of the Squig Herd. Like, again, all good movement values. You can have a pretty fast army. Speed does win, right? You can have Drogs running around for that awesome bubble. You can have the Warwheeler boss to potentially, give a big movement buff and be shooting across the board 18 inches. Like, as someone who used to play... who used to bring the little KO ship into their army, just literally to have it, because it could once a game just move 18 inches. It could do like its full steam ahead thing.
Yep.
It was like a 12-inch fly, but then once a game it could go 18 inches. It was just so useful. Like the number of times where I needed to get way across the board and just be somewhere. That kind of thing is just super useful. So
yeah, it's going to be a cool looking army as well. I think aesthetically, that's going to look cool. I think a big pack of wolves, a bunch of chariots, some squigs in there. Yeah, there's something to be said about the aesthetic for it, which I'm keen to see. I'm keen to see them on the board. Yep.
So, but there you go. All right. Well, Ben, thank you so much, buddy. Really appreciate you coming on. We'll have you back for sure. It's been great to have you.
It'll be an absolute pleasure. It's been a lot of fun. I appreciate you. I appreciate you having. And Chuck, I gotta give a shout out to Chuck. He's the guy who orchestrated this all, and is just just a genuinely lovely man. So I appreciate it.
Another person who absolutely lives up to the hype. So hey, if you haven't hit like yet or subscribed or done all those things, do all those things. Don't forget to look down in the description. More Warhammers down there. Go give Ben a sub as well. Everything is linked down below, so go check all of that out. Thank you to everybody who chatted, who super chatted. It's really deeply appreciated, especially when we do these big review shows. It's awesome. Thank you for all the support. If you want to support the channel more, there's affiliate links down there. There's Uncle Adam and I's games down there. You can check those out, pick up a new game. We did just release a game all about goblins. So in the most recent issue of Snarl, there is the Great Goblin Gamut. And it's, you know, if you have a bunch of goblins, if this is making you paint goblins, we literally released a goblin game all about playing with goblins. So check it out. And then, of course, there's our Patreon down there, too. But anyways, Ben, thank you so much. Everybody out there, thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. And as always, well, we'll wait a second here because I didn't have the right screen up. But hold on. As always, I promise we'll get there. Here we go. Here we go. We'll see you next Wednesday. Bye.
See ya. Thank you.